Welcome back to Washington Watch. I'm your host, Tony Perkins. The website, tonyperkins.com. As I mentioned, we are in Cleveland, Georgia at the campus of Truett McConnell University, broadcasting today and tomorrow. I'll be speaking at the chapel service in the morning. Later, we'll be joined by the president of TMU, Dr. Amir Kaner, so stick around for that. Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to take up a challenge to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's proxy voting rules that were put in place early on during the pandemic. The remote voting protocol was initially set to expire January the 4th, but Speaker Pelosi announced that, late last month, that she would just continue it until February the 13th.
She has run this institution like an authoritarian leader. When it comes to proxies, the Republican majority, and I don't want to speak for the leader here, but we believe in in-person voting. When Republicans win back the House, that's what we are committed to.
That was Elise Stefanik. She is the chair of the House Republican Conference. Here now to talk more about this and other items is the minority leader in the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you, Tony. And before we begin, I just want to thank you for all the work you do, and to all your listeners and for their prayers. Really, we need them more now than ever. And when you talk about this, here's the Supreme Court. They didn't rule whether it's constitutional or not. They just didn't take it up. And so we shouldn't rely on a separate branch of government to make Congress do their jobs. This is the intention of the Constitution. And when we take the majority, members will have to show up to get a paycheck. Even during the Civil War, they still met. Even after the building was burnt by the British, they met.
I talked at the top of the show about how we've got all these mandates. We've got mask mandates. We've got distancing mandates. We have vaccine mandates in the District of Columbia. All the members, you've had to go through all this. You got to have your temperature. You got to be tested. All these different things. I thought the vaccine was going to fix this. Why is it that Congress can't meet and do the business of the people as they were elected to do?
They can, and they're elected leaders. They should meet. We expected grocery clerks, those in the fire department, police department, and the medical community. We expected them all go, but somehow Congress thought they should stay home. I mean, we should show the leadership, and we can do that, and we can do it in a healthy manner. We're all pretty much all vaccinated. We keep the distance, but we need to be able to make sure government can run efficiently. But this idea, and this is how far they've gone with Nancy Pelosi, in the Capitol, they believe COVID only really happens on the House side. You have to wear a mask. But then you get right past the rotunda to the Senate, you don't have to wear a mask. And this is all coming from the doctor. Can you believe that?
Well, I know this won't come as a shock to you, Congressman McCarthy, but I don't think it has anything to do with the the virus. I think it has to do with power and control, because she succeeded. That's right. She succeeded in passing some measures that probably would not have passed had the members had to have been present in voting.
That's 100%.
Am I correct?
But there's also, you're 100% correct, but even goes further. When they first took over this year, they passed a rule that bills don't have to go through committee. So now the committees aren't even seeing them. So she would craft the bill. You're talking trillions of dollars. It's the start of inflation when they made that $1.9 trillion bill. They said it was for COVID, but only 9% went for COVID. And then she says, okay, we're going to vote on it. You members don't have to come back because I've got all the votes in my pocket. I'll just vote them all. I mean, it's all about power. Then she changed the rules on the minority, where the whole time in the history of Congress, the minority was always given an opportunity to at least have one amendment. She took that away.
And so you, as the leader of the Republicans, are pledging that if the American people put the Republicans in control of the People's House, you're going to change those rules to make it a fair body in which elected representatives have to be there to vote, and they have a voice in the process. Is that correct?
On the very first day, bills are going to have to go through committee. People are going to have to show up to vote. The public will get invited back in to see how their government works, to be able to hold us accountable. You'll be able to debate the bill. We'll give the minority, if they want to have an amendment, they can have an amendment in the process. We believe the power of the idea should win, and the public, this is the people's house. They should be able to participate.
Now, you also, Leader McCarthy, have laid out a broad agenda. You haven't provided the details yet. You're still working on that. But you've said your plan is to provide the American people a choice come this fall. Tell us about it.
I think this election should be a large contrast election. I think people should tell the American public what they would do if they were trusted with the majority. We're going to roll out what is called the Commitment to America. There's a few things that we've already rolled out that will be a part of it. All of our members are in different task forces working from the freedom of the internet to healthcare to economics. We're all working towards different elements. The Parents' Bill of Rights. The idea that the Democrats believe parents should not have a say in their kids' education, that if somebody is sexually harassed on the campus, they won't notify the other parents and they just ship that person to another school to have it happen again. So what we're going to do is, and we just came back last week having a big meeting and we're continuing every single week, we're going to roll out our entire agenda to the American public. We're going to tell them, if you trust us with the majority, these are the bills that we're passed. We'll also put in there, we believe this administration needs to be held accountable. We need to know, why was the Attorney General going after parents like they're terrorists? We want to look at the border. We want to secure the border. We've rolled that out. We want to look at what happened in Afghanistan. We want to look why the IRS is releasing people's tax returns. There is a lot of accountability that needs to take place in this administration. We're going to pass legislation and hold them accountable at the same time.
And a final comment, Leader McCarthy, is that you and I have talked about this. One of the things that made Donald Trump successful is that he kept his promises. And you've told me that that is going to be your pledge, that whatever the Republicans pledge to do, the voters are going to be holding them accountable as well.
Yep. Promises made, promises kept. I'll promise you what we promised to do will pass the House. We've got to make sure it gets through the Senate as well.
All right. Kevin McCarthy, thanks so much for joining us today. Always great to talk with you.